Hi there. Here's what we're cutting tonight. Lots and lots of holes. If we go right in here, these purple holes are going to be for the dowels, and the orange hole is for the T-nut, and this is actually a pocket for the screw and washer. So the way this is going to work is we're going to be putting a T-nut on the bottom layer of MDF. And then we'll be attaching the top layer with a screw and a washer. And then once everything is mounted down tightly, I'm going to try something I've never seen done before, in which when it's all bolted down tightly, we're going to glue these wood dowels and all the dowel holes. And it's going to go into the bottom layer about that far. It's not going to go all the way through. And the reason for the wood dowels is these T-nuts I'm actually going to be using for mounting or attaching braces, or basically attaching material to the top layer when we're milling. And the reason for the dowel is we're actually going to be using, when we're not using this nut for mounting or attaching anything to the top platform, it's going to be holding the top layer to the bottom layer. But when we take this out, if we decide to use one of these and use a larger screw for mounting material to the top, I don't want the absence of this screw causing the MDF to loosen up. So with a dowel glued in, that should take care of our problem. And the good news is, if I ever want to replace the top board, all I have to do is mill out these dowels and it'll lift right off. So with that in mind, we need to find a way to clamp this board to the second board before we start drilling all these holes. And the problem is, if you can see that, we got a little bit of air to crush out of here before we start milling. The holes are going to come real close to the edge, so I can't really use a lot of clamping. So what I've decided to do is just run a program for 3 holes, one here, one in the middle, one at the end. Then we'll take it off, clean up all the dust, put it back on, and use the T-nuts to secure it. So 3 T-nuts. That should keep it nice and tight while we do the big run. All right, I have the program loaded for 3 holes. And we are back at 0. And I have yet to actually do any milling with this configuration, this vac configuration. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to fire everything up and let it rip. I'm going to stand right here by the big red button just in case anything goes wrong. Okay, looks like I am going to be tethered to the table operating the vac. That didn't go very well at all. Okay, I took the top board off, cleaned it up, and installed our screws. And you can see how that one is much deeper than this one over here. This one is not low enough. We still have to skim the top of this board to level it. I made this area 0 for the Z-axis, knowing we had a bow in it. You can see with the screws installed, we got rid of our gap. So I'm going to reset 0 to our new surface and give it a go. Okay, we're back at 0. I've readjusted the Z height. And here we go. In hindsight, I was thinking I probably should have ran this as 3 jobs, and it looks like I'm going to get my wish. So our bit started to slip. You can see these are all the way through, not so much, and you can see it got progressively worse. And I think what happened there was I ran the job, or I sped the job up to 140%. to try to save a little time. And I think when we get to these holes for the T-nuts, that it was just a little too fast and the bit gave way. So I got the new job loaded. It doesn't include these cavities for the dowel, but as you can see, that's a nice tight fit. So there's lights on the ceiling. Home again. So we've re-established zero. I will say this is the first time I've run the machine that long. The spindle was ice cold, no problems with that. The motors, they got a little warm. They're kind of toasty now. But steppers are designed to run pretty hot. I'm sure we can go another hour without a big problem. Okay, from the top. Okay, we had to stop again, as I noticed we're off center quite a bit. Didn't start out that way. So we're going to call it a night. I'll pick it up tomorrow. So here we are at day 2, or night 2, I should say. So I've got the dowel back in the spindle because I spent a couple hours down here trying to figure out what went wrong. Namely that. You can see how off center that hole is. And turns out there were 2 issues. The first one was our zero was off by a couple mil. Witnessed by the first hole we did. That's off by a couple mil. I should have saw that. But this last hole that we did is way off, and that has nothing to do with this zero being off. That's got to do with this machine not being ready for prime time. I kind of knew that. It was silly to think I could do a 2.5 hour job with this machine not fully calibrated. So what we're going to do is the same thing I did with the holes for this bottom layer, is we're going to run one row going up. Then we're going to rehome our machine, come back, do row 2, rehome, come back, do row 3. And when we're done with that, we're going to run our dowel program again, but we're just going to run another row here and another row up there. So that's a quick job. So that's 10 jobs total, short jobs. And I'm going to put the bit back in the spindle and get going. So that looks much better. Our holes are no longer round, but we're definitely in the center. So that's good. So I'm going to run the rest of these off camera, run the vac. According to this run, we've got about 40 minutes of machining to do. That's it, we're done. There's nothing left to mill. You can see these holes look much better on this side. So now that we're done with all the milling, I can stop worrying about registration between these two boards. So tomorrow we'll take both boards off, install the T-nuts on the bottom board, and then put all the screws on that board, get it down nice and tight, put the top layer on, and then we'll install these screws. And once these are all tight, we can glue the wood rods into this pocket. So we're getting there. Won't be long now. I decided to get a head start on these T-nuts before I wrap it up. And I thought I would show how I'm installing them. Basically, I'm taking a little wood glue. Don't need much. I did do a test of this and it works pretty well. And then you place the T-nut in the hole. Then you take a screw with a nice heavy washer in the back. Send it through. Then with an Allen wrench, we just suck it right down. So you keep it aligned until it's tight. And once you're tight, just go ahead and send it home. Basically, once you see the glue smear, you know you're done. Back it off. That's it. Finally, the board is complete. Well, almost. Not yet. But everything is done. We do have our screws installed. We have our wood dowels, which are now, the glue is dry. So next thing we need to do is knock these dowels down, get them closer to the surface. And the way we're going to do that is I have a program loaded that is just going to do one row at a time. Basically, we'll do this row, kind of the same way we did these screw holes, or these holes. Let's see. Of course, the problem is that none of them are the same height, as you can see. So this program we're going to run, it's just going to do 5 mil at a time, and we'll just play it by ear. But we'll do that next video. Pretty happy with the progress here. Thanks for watching.